Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. And Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Welch's knows some things make zero sense, like why the algorithm knows your music tastes better than you do. But zero sugar and full flavor? We made that make sense with new Welch's Zero Sugar. All that passion fruit or tropical punch goodness and none of the sugar. You gotta sip it to get it. New Welch's Zero Sugar. Let's fruit stuff up.
Hello and welcome to Small Town Murder Express.
Yay and choo-choo.
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you so much for joining us. All aboard the murder train, everyone. We are pulling away from the station quickly here this week. We have a crazy story. We're going to a state we haven't been to in forever. It's been about 4.5 years since we've been to this state. So
stop that.
It's crazy. Yes, making a return to the northern kind of barren country up there, to the tundra of North Dakota. We'll do that very quickly, though, before we get started. First of all, shutupandgivememurder.com is where you get all your merchandise and especially your tickets to live shows. Get those. August 12th, we are in San Francisco at Cobb's Comedy Club. 2 shows that night. They're different shows, 2 different stories, so feel free to come to both. We look forward to seeing you the next night in Sacramento. Still a few tickets for Crime and Sports left. Small Town Murder sold out, but keep checking back. You never know, some tickets may open up. People are allowed to return them. And, of course, September 10th, Milwaukee. Oh, baby, at the Paps. We are excited for that one because this will be our biggest show ever. And the tickets are selling. We're getting close, and we're pushing for the sellout on this. And so we can tell everyone, what's your biggest show ever? Milwaukee, baby.
You're damn right.
That's right. Not New York, not Not L.A., not Seattle, Milwaukee. That's right. So we're very, very excited. Thank you for doing that. And everybody, if you saw the Chicago show, feel free to come up. It's a different story. It's
Please
an hour
do.
away.
Yeah.
Get your asses up there, and let's do this. And Patreon this week, patreon.com/crime and sports.
Yeah.
All your bonus stuff here. We put out tons of bonus episodes. You're going to get 4 of them a month at least.
Yeah.
It's every other week you get 2 episodes. Anybody $5 or above, you get access to all of it. Small Town Murder, Crime and Sports, everything. This week for Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about Michael Jordan's scandals, the most bulletproof media figure in the history of sports and entertainment is Michael Jordan. He's the only person ever that could wear a Hitler mustache on television trying to sell underwear, and we all go, that's okay, that's fine, it's Michael Jordan. Get away with anything. Gambling.
Tell me about the tagless shirts, Mike.
Gambling, conspiracy theories on his dad's death, and affairs, paternity suits, a giant divorce. It's a lot of fun. And then Small Town Murder, we're going to do, our favorite thing, Small Town Murder, or not murder, Small Town Reviews.
Hell yeah.
Oh, my goodness, those are so fun. It's been over a year, so we're very excited to dip back into that. We'll talk about a couple of small businesses even that were terrible, some terrible local businesses and things like that. We'll get into everything. That is patreon.com/crime and sports, and you'll also get a shout-out at the end of the main show. That said, let's do it, Jimmy. It's murder time.
All right.
Sit back. Let's clear the lungs, everybody, wherever you are. Hopefully not in anywhere too public of a place. And shout, shut up!
Shut up and give me murder.
Let's do this, Jimmy.
We were so close.
I know, it's good. It's not bad. We were, like we said, it's jazz. We're doing our own thing on the Shut Up and Give Me Murder. And sometimes it just...
and you're playing a tuba, and it's just a different song.
Sometimes it just comes together, though. So we're going to North Dakota this week. Yeah. My God, it's been so long. Episode 48, I think it was. We were in Cooperstown, North Dakota. Yeah, we're post 300 now, so been a while. Yeah. This is Dickinson, North Dakota here. Population, 23,527. So it's not too small of a place, actually. Yeah. Oklahoma, North Dakota is so vast. It's weird because there's not a ton of these small kind of out in the middle of nowhere towns because there's nothing around them to support them. So you can't really, you don't have like resources out there. You know, where do you get electricity other than generators? And it's it's huge. And it's
just their giant metropolises like Minot.
That's what I mean. That's what they have. These quote population centers where you have Bismarck and you have Minot and places like that, Fargo, and that's it. And those are the places. And then Dickinson, 23,000. So quickly we'll do some reviews here. Reviews, 5 stars. Okay, they love it here. Dickinson is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family.
All of those!
Exclamation point. Great school system with outstanding teachers. People are hardworking, competent, and responsible.
Yeah.
Wow, really? Teacher. Everybody's perfect, huh? This is a wild town. Most everyone is friendly and willing to meet new people. They put everyone, and then they're like, hold on a second. That one time Dave was... He's not real. Yeah, if you go down to the donut shop early in the morning, he's not. He's sitting there. You wave to him, he'll nod to you, but he doesn't really acknowledge your presence. So fuck Dave. Most everyone is friendly. Yeah. The weather can be unpredictable, but that's what gives North Dakota its quote getter done. Not get. It's GETTER too. They even fucked that up. So
wow,
it's getter done attitude, and that's in quotes, by the way, just to make it more annoying and cringeworthy.
I guess they're trying to grammatically say it right because getter is a thing, but you don't understand what the South is. What we love that Southern work ethic pride part, but really we want them to speak it right.
But we told you the school system was outstanding here, and they taught us how to spell.
Holy shit.
Next line, no place for slackers here, exclamation point. I'm not sure. Yeah, Jesus. I'm not sure what people always think they need to do for entertainment, but when it's cold and dark by 5 p.m., you should be home anyway.
What the fuck is that?
This person said, listen, there's nothing to do here, but that's fine because you shouldn't be outside after dark anyway. Get inside. What the fuck?
I want to meet them
Grandma.
so bad.
I want to meet this old lady and find out what kind of candy is at the bottom of her purse, because this is ridiculous. This is a woman with like old mints at the bottom of her purse that she tries to give to her grandchildren and they don't want them. This is bad.
These say Ronald Smokehouse on them. I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't want that. That place closed down. Place closed down when I was 4. What the hell's going on, Grandma? Jesus Christ.
Still have these?
How long have these been in your... They're all broken and shit in the pack. You could just feel around in the plastic. Broken stuff. That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I'm not sure what people always think they need to do for entertainment. Like, what's wrong with sitting in your house all the time, nonstop?
I don't know why anybody wants to leave. This is dumb.
You should be home anyway. Then it gets better. You should be home anyway, ... unless you're working. This person really wants you to enjoy your life. Listen, no slacking. You work 16 hours a day. You come home. You eat like a foggy meal while you're real tired. Then you fall asleep cold.
5 hours, goddammit. Wake up. Get to work.
Turn the TV on before the first commercial breaks over. You're out cold. That's a day, damn it. Now that's living. What the fuck is happening?
That's living all right.
Oh, man. Summer is a great time to get outside and enjoy the weather. Here or in general or what? That's
everywhere,
a good,
I guess. I don't know.
I guess everywhere. North Dakota life isn't for everyone, but if you value a quality family, good friends, and work life, this may be the place for you. And never want to do anything. You forgot to add that. I don't know what people think they need to do for entertainment all the time.
Think they need
to do. Wow, Grandma.
I know better.
Woof. 4 stars, easy to find work, we have oil. That's it. Okay. That's the end of the review. That's it. 3 stars. The grocery stores are okay. They do not keep their shelves well stocked, but they said shelf *S well stocked, not shelves. Shelves well stocked. That's it. It's the whole town. The grocery stores is lacking. 3 stars.
Sparsely popular stocked grocery stores and nothing to do.
Nothing to do. 2 stars. Not only are option extremely limited, that's what it says, as far as what people can do in their free time, but the few options suck. Well, sonny boy, I refer you back to, I don't know what you think you need to do for entertainment all the time, but after 5, you should be home anyway. 5? Not even like, past midnight. I don't know what these people want to do. 5 p.m. 5 p.m. You should be home anyway, unless you're working. Get home. What is happening?
Jimmy Buffett would hate it here.
Oh, my God. Yeah, very much so.
5 o'clock is party time, lady.
When do you drink here? I don't understand it. So I guess I got to drink at noon. Things to do. We're not going to talk about the whole thing just because it's really pretty boring, but there's a Dickinson Ukrainian festival, which that's where you'd expect a Ukrainian festival to take place in the middle of rural North Dakota. It's just a funny thing that's there. That said, let us talk about a murder, shall we?
Let's do it.
Actually, at least 3 and possibly many more.
What?
Because this is a case where the well is deep, my friend. What are you drinking over there? What do you got?
I took a sip.
Yeah,
I thought I got that real
right
silent light.
No, he's got a plastic straw and a lid like... What are you, 9? We're doing a show right now. Put in a fucking cup.
I tried to swallow and it tried to come back.
I saw you when you walked in today. I'm like, what has he got in his hand there?
My Pepsi tried to answer you. It's just me.
I'm just fucking around anyway.
It's
That's
a
funny.
sugary cola.
I need my cola. I just heard the plastic and I snapped my neck to look over at you and look over past the monitor.
I tried so hard.
That was awesome. So anyway, November 1981 is when this starts out. This is a case that's like a well that is like, it's a deep, deep well, and it's so dark, you stick like a big, long rod in, you're trying to see how deep it is, and you never hit bottom, and you're like, it's dark, we don't know where the bottom is.
It keeps taking the rod.
Because it gets real murky, and let's get into this here. We'll talk about some people. In November of 1981, let's talk about Priscilla Dinkel, Dinkel.
Okay.
Priscilla Dinkel.
Yeah.
That
Why does her name sound familiar?
I think that's the lady who sells antiques in Funny Farm. Isn't that Mrs. Dinkle's antique store?
Yeah.
That's where I immediately pictured the squirrel and her saying that rocking chair hasn't been sat in since my husband died in it 30 years ago or whatever.
I also am hearkening back to Lieutenant Dangle. I've got that.
There you go.
Dinkle and Dangle are way too close.
Jim Dangle and the lady who sells antiques, mash them together now. Yeah. And Priscilla Dinkle's 52 years old in 1981. She's born in 1928. Mm-hmm. She's from Minnesota originally, and she has been married to Frank Dinkle. Frank Dinkle. It's a very, very
rock hard man, right there.
You got to love a man to be
to marry a Dinkle, a Frank Dinkle.
I'm going to be Mrs. Frank Dinkle in 1949. You must love him a lot. But Frank's a good guy, from what I understand here, and they get married in 1949. And so as of 81, they're still married. Been married for 20-something years,
3,000 years.
Yeah, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, that's a long fucking time.
Kids coming out the ass.
That's the wrong place.
2 sons. Well, that's the problem with kids. So you never know where they're going to come out sometimes. They're unpredictable, Jimmy. That's the issue. So,
how many they got?
She's got 2 sons and 7 daughters.
My God, Frank, leave her alone.
Frank and Priscilla, 9 kids over a 32-year span here. So
they love each other.
They have a very good family. Frank works when they moved to the North Dakota area, because they live in Crystal, North Dakota for a long time. Frank works the oil fields, oil rig guy. That's where the jobs are plentiful, and they're decent. They're hard work, but decent paying jobs. Yeah, you can make some good money. We've talked about that before. And when we talked about Montana, I believe we were discussing that. So they lived most of the time in Crystal for years and years and years, pretty much their whole marriage. And then in the summer of 81, they moved to Dickinson, North Dakota, here, where he could still work, and she is going to manage a motel.
Okay.
There's a motel that has it's a very small town, and this is on the main drag is this motel, and it's kind of like some of the workers stay there that are only in town for a couple weeks to do a job, like the temp workers, and it's kind of like people from the town eat dinner there, and she'll cook. How many people? It's not like a restaurant. It's a restaurant, but she'll be like, how many people we got? And then she'll just whip up something for 15 people if they're there or something like that. And, people come and get coffee there in the morning and check in. Hey, how you doing there, Priscilla? And
at
they
the
talk
motel.
for a while.
Wild.
At the motel. There's not a lot in town, like we said.
Right.
Home by 5 anyway. Get in your hotel room by 5. What are we doing here? That lady.
Curfew around here.
Oh, man. That's why we love reviews. We really do. I'm telling. That's why we're doing the Patreon.
Where else are you going to find that?
That's hilarious. And it's on this show. It's about murder, so we couldn't talk. We could have talked about that for 15 minutes, and it would have been hilarious. And we need to do that as a whole.
Apart from you and now me and all these people, 12 people have read that person's word, and everybody needs to know that she said that.
Yes, everyone needs to know it. I wish you had to put your name and vital stats, not your address. I don't want people to stalk you, but just I'm this. This is my name, first name. I'm this age. This is what I do for a living. Just so you can get a hash this person out. So she's got a bunch of grandkids and everything else, Priscilla and Frank. And their one daughter, Melody, they seem pretty close to. She's the one who moved to Dickinson a few years ago, and that's what drew them here, is Melody. Melody's got a 7-year-old daughter named Danielle that Priscilla watches all the time. And
nice. The granddaughter around the motel.
Yeah, they watch her all the time, whether at the house or the motel or whatever. But she sleeps at the motel. She's got her like the manager's quarters there.
Yeah.
It's like an apartment basically. So Frank's working on oil rigs. They moved here from Crystal. Crystal is 365 miles away, so they've been.
Jesus.
It's a good distance. That's North Dakota. North Dakota's like Texas. It's just this huge, vast
swath of land
here. She drove in her Oldsmobile Cutlass and tore ass on up there.
Hell yeah!
And so there we go. And this has been there's been a big oil boom in North Dakota. It's for a long time. Still happening. Yeah. But I found through these articles here in 1973, apparently this was the midst of a big oil boom then.
All right.
And the governor at the time said that, the oil boom, it's almost over, and, we should be done with the oil here in a couple of years pretty soon. Any minute, that's been 50 years. Yeah. And I'm just saying, at the time, that's what they thought. And he said, when we are through with that and the landscape is quiet again, let those who will follow and repopulate the land be able to say our grandparents did their job well. The land is as good, and in some cases better than before. So he's saying we're gonna leave the land better than before when we're done with this oil extraction.
The land's good. It's empty, but it's good.
It's empty. I mean, it's a blank canvas, really. Yeah, it's not. That's the thing. It hasn't been fucked out yet. That's what he says. Like, it's not even going to be fucked out. It's going to be like just like a clean white sheet. That's all.
Useless, but.
Exactly. Not much you can do with it. You could use a blanket and a pillow, but it's nice to
valuable.
Look at. Yeah,
by far.
So, but it was still going on from this 80s, in the 80s here. And, the people are coming into town all the time. And this town has swelled in population a little bit because of that. So Priscilla is running the Swanson Motel. Okay. That's the name of it now. It's an old rundown one-story place, one of those where the
flats.
You pull up. Yep. You pull up in front of your room, and they're all kind of attached and like
your headlights illuminate your whole room.
That's it, in a V formation. Yeah. If you're there for a while, you're like, oh, Bob's home next door. Yeah, he's home. Jesus Christ, turn your high beams off, Bob.
I'm awake, Fred.
Put the fucking lights off before you turn into your space. It's one of those places. It's kind of older and a little run down, but clean, that sort of deal. The rooms are normally rented on a weekly or monthly basis here.
Okay,
rather than night, because nobody's coming here for a night to hang out and party. Yeah. So this is like I'm in town for 2 weeks. Yeah. We know that you're in by 5. Where I'm in town for 2 weeks, I'll get this room and I'll be here for 2 weeks. That sort of deal. So she's the manager, Priscilla. They say it caters mainly to transient workers.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which sounds shitty, but a lot of those guys make a fuckload of money.
Yeah, they go from place to place where they're needed in jobs. Yeah. So it's not like, we don't mean transient like carny worker. Right. That's a transient worker. Like, I'll be in front of the Kohl's in that strip mall on this weekend. Then I'm gonna be outside Des Moines in front of the Dick's Sporting Goods out there. So, I'll get around.
Get over to Minnesota, where there's a loading dock at a Target, nice and warm.
Oh, man, it's outside of it.
Right next to a generator
you can feel the heat coming out of the Target when they open up them bay doors to get a shipment in. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna sleep on the loading dock while we live there. That's gonna be good. Jesus Christ. That is the carny life. So recently, though, with everybody coming into town, the town has there's a few more unsavory characters in the town than there ever was before in 1981 because of just people coming in and out. Even if they're people with high-paying jobs or whatever, you're still going to get some weirdos if they're stopping through.
Yeah.
So
it is kind of a weird guy that likes to live that lifestyle. It's not your average guy.
And you get people with opportunity because they come in and out too. Those are people that kill people a lot of times.
Right.
A lot of
like
times
to be watched because they got shit they're doing.
Serial killers' jobs lend themselves to movement a lot of times. Yeah. That's how they do their deal. So anyway, the chief of police even around 1980 had made a warning to the locals that they need to start locking their doors, which is no one had ever locked their doors here ever. And he said, we should all start locking our doors now. There's been a little bit of crime and weirdos coming through, and I don't want to find anybody, murdered in their homes with their whole family. So maybe lock your doors. So the people were like, wow, it's getting, jeez.
He's that concerned.
Man. So anyway, she, like I said, Priscilla watches her granddaughter quite often, 7-year-old Danielle and Melody's daughter. And on November 16th, 1981, she's babysitting Danielle, and she's staying at the motel with her that night. Okay. So on the 16th, Priscilla makes dinner for about 12 people.
Yeah.
We're talking some motel people and just some locals too. So it was kind of whoever was around, she would make dinner. And at the time, there was 2 vacancies at the hotel that night. There was 2 open rooms.
Empty. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't at full capacity. Wasn't really like overrun with people at that moment. So the early morning of November the 17th, a worker who was staying there for a week or week and a half, an oil guy, he stopped by. He would come by every morning before he would leave. He'd get up in his own motel room, he'd get ready, he'd stop by the office and get a cup of coffee, and then head out to work, like I think a lot of the people did because they had free coffee there. So this guy stops in for a cup of coffee, and he's pouring his coffee there in the lobby. Just like people do in the morning. I mean, long day at the wells in front of you. Yikes, It's November in North Dakota.
Oh, boy.
You got some layers on. Flannel is a part of your insulated flannel is a part of your life at this moment.
A large, heavy coat with a wide fucking collar on it.
Oh, yeah. You're checking, making sure you got your gloves, the shit fucking things that cover your ears.
Yeah.
You got it all going on here.
That collar comes up to cover the neck.
Oh, man, all of it. Yeah, where's my scarf, damn it, your boots and everything. Get that hot coffee in him, and as he looks over, he sees Priscilla.
Oh, boy.
And normally he'd say, "Hi, Priscilla," but today, not so much, not looking too sociable, I would say. No, she is looking in bad shape. She's lying face down on the floor, first of all, which is a bad sign for anybody. She's also bound and gagged, which is not normal.
Not good.
For her, and with an electrical cord tied around her wrists and neck.
Oh, my.
And she's wearing a nightcoat and a house coat, a nightgown and a house coat, and they'd been pulled down, partially exposing her back.
Okay.
So that's what he sees, and this guy, holy shit, obviously freaks out, grabs the phone.
A horrible thing to see.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see before your day in the oil field. You just wanted a cup of coffee. And this
7 a.m.?
Before 7 a.m. Yeah, it's not like he doesn't even know this lady. He just met her like 3 times. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ. So this is a bad thing to find, and obviously a terrible thing for Priscilla. Fuck him, this poor woman. Jesus Christ. She really looks like she's been through it. I mean, the police arrive. They notice that she has splinters of wood in her hair.
In her hair?
Splinters of wood, and they find that her skull is crushed as well.
Oh, God.
She's been strangled with a cord, beaten about the head. It's really bad. I mean, this
splinters, that's processed wood. That's like a 2x4.
Yeah, something like that, or whatever somebody found close by, probably. Right. And between that and the bound, gagged, tied with the electrical cord, this is a very, very specific thing that this person has done.
Yeah, a controlled beating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very specific. So, according to, this is the lead investigator, he said that, quote, "We get this call, and dispatch says we just received a call that a gentleman was at the Swanson Motel, and there was a lady tied up on the floor, and he thought she was dead." Oh, wow. And he said, of course, we go racing over there, and I didn't go in. I was on the outside because I was the rookie, so I stayed out and protected the crime scene from the outside.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to walk into that. This is an understatement here of the year. They describe, when they walked into the scene, they described it as eerie. I would say eerie, yeah.
So saying one body is enough to be eerie?
That's pretty eerie, I think, right? I don't know. I think anywhere with a dead body would be eerie. You wouldn't go, I don't know, it had a pretty good vibe in there, you know?
But dead lady. Investigators calling that shit eerie means it was fucked up.
It was creepy, yeah. Also, I don't think they see a lot of murder in this town. That's the other thing. They had, at this point, they had 0 unsolved homicides in their entire county. Ever. Like, they didn't have any cold cases on the books. It was just, if they happened, it was, oh, man, Bob killed his wife. Shit. And that was it. That was the end of it. So, anyway, she's face down, like we said, in the office of the lobby of the motel, hands bound with electrical cord, suffered a blow to the head by a blunt object, and had been choked as well with the electrical cord. So the rookie investigator here, he said, we hadn't experienced, especially the police department, a homicide before, so I was just saying to myself, I'm so thankful I'm not in investigations.
Never experienced it.
Nobody in the police department at that time had ever dealt with a homicide before.
Holy shit.
That is terrifying.
The last time we investigated one of these, none of us was born.
None of us was born. There was an old guy. Shit, does he still live around here? Nah, man, he retired to South Carolina. Shit, God damn it. We could call him and ask him what to do. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to. There's a lot of practice that goes into homicide investigation. Like in a major city, they have they'll have like their best detectives, or they be like robbery or whatever their investigative detectives are. Yeah. They'll move them into homicide, and they're like under someone's wing for a while, where they have to follow them around and kind of learn the deal, learn how to write the reports. Everything has to be perfectly done. I mean, you're gathering trace evidence and shit like that. These guys, they probably had the mayor trampling around like that one story we had. They didn't know what the fuck to do.
In these, I don't investigate these things, but I would want to like inflate a bubble around this shit and ask the one person that found them their exact story, how you found, what'd you touch, and then we'll go through once we all get in some bubble wrap.
That's exactly it.
So
you go in.
This shit.
Everybody get their gloves on. You start taking fingerprints. Problem is, it's a public place is the issue, too. Mm-hmm. They know it. There was at least 12 people in there yesterday. So, I mean, we could start with those people.
So many fingerprints.
Start with those people and question them. That's a lot of it is questioning people. If people go, holy shit, really? Oh, that's terrible, Priscilla. I don't know. Oh, my God. No, I was over here, and they have an alibi. And then somebody else goes, huh? She's what? She's yeah. No, I was... I was somewhere else. Like that's the guy you want to talk to.
Yeah.
If you run into that cat. So
otherwise, you've got, as long as they didn't have any fireworks mishaps, 120 different fingerprints all the way through this shit.
Everywhere. Oh, exactly. As long as one of them's not you. So he said we hadn't experienced this at all, and he said a little bit later, as the investigation progressed, about a half hour later, a car screams up to the motel just in time for school to start. So I guess right around the time school opens. Like I said, it's the center of town, so I guess everything's probably pretty close. Out this woman comes racing out of the car, and I'm trying to hold her back. And I remember that she was screaming, my baby, my baby. No one could figure out what the heck she was talking about.
I already know.
At that time, one of the investigators went into the back bedroom and lifted the covers off the bed and found the 7-year-old girl as well. They were there for a half hour. They didn't even know she was back there, Jimmy.
She's alive?
No, she's dead.
Oh, no.
They had no idea she was even back there. They didn't think, hey, let's look through the rest of the fucking apartment.
Let's check
They literally
everything.
were like, I'll just stand next to this body. This is where I found it. Like, get the fucker, look around. What if the guy was hiding under the covers? You wouldn't have seen that either. The murderer could have been under there. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
I don't know, but as a crime scene investigator that's never investigated a crime, I've got one crime. Now I've just doubled the amount of murders I have to investigate.
And this is much worse. This is a child.
This is
above and beyond. I mean, adults can have beef with each other. You never know what's Priscilla's a nice lady, but you don't know if somebody has maybe they have a huge gambling debt. I don't fucking know. Maybe they're who the hell? Maybe they sold someone some bunk coke. We don't know. A 7-year-old did nothing to nobody. We know that for a fact. So it's fucking terrible. She was not bound, but the evidence said that she had been tied up at some point and pummeled with a blunt object as well.
What the fuck, man?
Later on, they'll realize that both Danielle and Priscilla have both been sexually assaulted multiple times as well. Both of them. So someone took their time here. They had people tied up, untied. Someone was real comfortable in this, doing this and in this environment. So it's fucking horrible, man. So the police officer here said, quote, the murderer felt so guilty about it that he covered her up with the blankets. And that's the psychology behind it, too. They feel, I don't know if it's guilt or shame or whatever it is, but at some point, even if you're a psychopath, that's not good. What I just did in the grand scheme of things, that can't be considered, above board behavior. That's awful. So, they had the little girl had a fractured skull, and the grandmother had like a bruised skull with but a lot of brain trauma. So fucking horrible, man. So. Obviously, this is, for a team that's never investigated shit, this is not the first one you want to have right here. This is a lot, and we're talking physical evidence is crucial here in all of this as well, because there's sexual aspects of it, so there's a lot of physical evidence you could collect and everything. Problem is you need to know how to collect that shit and do it properly and do it. These people don't seem to know their ass from a fucking hole in the ground is the problem. So... Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
They create a list of suspects, but ultimately, they don't have a lot of information. Like I said, the crucial first 24 hours was spent with their thumbs up their asses. The first half hour, they didn't even look around the whole fucking apartment. So It's not going well. At the time, they said, quote, we're just chasing ghosts. Nothing is panning out. We're just chasing down a person that was seen walking down Highway 22. Nobody knew him, and it was the middle of the night, and we were chasing that lead down before we finally could possibly catch up to him in South Dakota. So they caught up to the guy. Somebody was seen walking down the street in the middle of the night. Okay, so that night. So they do all the... Yeah, like a drifter or something. Yeah, like Rutger Hauer's walking through town here. So they track this dude down in South Dakota, and they think that must be the guy. There's not a lot of people don't go out past 5 here. That must be the guy. But the cop says, quote, he didn't turn out. So where do you go from there? It wasn't the guy.
Oh, no.
So they're like, now what the fuck do you do? Now they have that was the one lead. A guy was seen walking down the street in the middle of the night. That was they put all of their eggs in that basket, and it didn't pan out. So now they're like, what the fuck do we do now? This is absolutely horrible. The police chief said, I don't think we've ever had a dual murder situation like this here in Dickinson. This was just something that happens that you read about in the papers, in other places.
In like LA.
Yeah, this is somewhere you read in San Francisco. They're going to carve each other up after having a gay orgy or something. I don't know what the hell they're doing out there, but you know what I'm saying. They all do acid and jump out windows while they're trying to poke each other in the buttholes. You know how it goes.
It's like some Swanson Motel kind of stuff.
No, Swanson Motel, that's a different deal.
Stand in place.
Oh, man. So he said that they were investigating the possibility of robbery being the motive because the cash box was short by about $100. But they said there was still some small bills and change and shit left in there, so it wasn't robbed clean. Yeah. So that's odd. Maybe she clears the main cash out at the end of the night and hides it somewhere. We don't know.
She took $100 for petty cash to pay for the meal that she just cooked.
Who knows? Yeah, that's the other thing. We don't know. So I guess they said that the room had not been ransacked either. It wasn't. They said, quote, there weren't things busted up or anything like that. There's no sign of a struggle as well, which is very strange, and it also tells you what happened in the crime, because that it shows that he probably must have incapacitated her with the blow to the head first to get, it would seem, to get to the granddaughter, because you're going to get her out of the way. She's the physical threat, and then you have a child, which is not a physical threat to you. So you can kind of do that. That's why there's no sign of a struggle. If he just went and attacked the child, I assume the grandmother would probably jump on his back and start beating him with a fucking table leg, and then there would be signs of a struggle after that. You know what I mean? So they said by 3 days from then, they had no suspects identified yet. They said there's a lot of people to check out. The detectives haven't pinned this down to one person at this time. Wow. In other words, we ain't got shit, is what it is.
We got nothing but a dead grandma and a grandchild.
That's it. This is like Spaceballs.
Yeah.
What about you? Combing the desert. We ain't found shit. So they said the leads led them as far away as Texas and New Mexico. This is, time is going by. They're hearing all sorts of shit. They're trying to... They're waiting to receive fingerprint analysis from the FBI, and because they've said they don't have the facilities to properly do these fingerprint analysis, and they said they have a fingerprint that is like, they're promising. There's one fingerprint that's not accounted for in the people that are in there, and they're like, this could be the one.
Shit to Quantico.
That's it, man. They also have turned to hypnosis as well, trying to hypnotize people. For what they've seen, they've also brought psychics in to possibly. They have nothing.
You got to throw some shit at the wall, James.
Well, yeah. Once the cops call, because psychics usually call the cops to say, "I'll help you." To try. If the cops are like, if anybody out there, has visions or anything like that, we love it if you get a hold of us. That means they have
tarot cards.
Whatever. We don't give a shit. Anything you want to do. We don't care if you just get a tingly feeling sometimes at the end of a football game that a guy's going to miss a field goal. Come on down.
Come on by, have coffee and talk with us.
We need a chat. That means you have ugats. Nothing.
Not a goddamn thing.
And one of the police officers said it's one of those cases with very little physical evidence. And they said they do have some suspects, but not any evidence, obviously. They said that... one detective recently said she just got another letter from the FBI, and they're checking out a lead in Montana at that point, they said, for them. So it comes back the next month. The fingerprints have been studied here. They're sent off. And this was a big deal. I mean, they had our golden fingerprint, and they sent it off to the FBI, to Quantico, and everything like that. They have no leads, and they have fingers crossed. Who does this fingerprint belong to? It all comes up. It's one of the investigators who wasn't wearing a fucking glove when he went in there, because he was just like, what's that? Oh, damn, and grabbed the fucking thing. That's all it was. Somebody just didn't put gloves on, and just an investigator. They waited all this time, 2 months, FBI, dollars, all this shit. One guy's like, oh, shit. Yeah, I forgot to put my gloves on for about 15 minutes. That'll explain that shit.
To identify Johnson, you son of a bitch.
Unbelievable. They're like, Johnson, did you do this? Are you a pervert? So years go by, Jimmy, nothing, because there's no evidence. And once that fingerprint comes back with nothing, they have a couple suspects, but nothing they can tie anything to, no physical evidence, nobody's talking. Cold case. Years go by. Years. 1988 or so, they tear the Swanson Motel to the ground. So now there's any evidence that was possibly left is all going to be gone there too. Torn to the ground. It's now, from what I can see, I could be wrong, but from what I see, it's a vacant lot now with a Kawasaki dealership across the street that sells like four-wheelers and shit. So it's not bad. Not bad. Pick you up a
Ninja.
Oh,
they
man.
sell ninjas, yeah.
Pick you up a 800cc and rip right through them woods. That'd be fun. So 1991 comes around, 91, and the police commissioner starts asking the new police chief if they wouldn't mind taking a look at that one case, since it's, the only murder that's ever happened here, and it's really still didn't figure it out.
We look like dicks about it, so...
It's pretty embarrassing, we're just going to say. But they're still asking.
Our
it's
only been out for 10 years, so...
I mean, Jesus. It's the finger. Did you hear about the fingerprint? Yeah, it was embarrassing. So they said, please do that. So they call up the FBI
Yeah.
in 1991, and the FBI works up a profile here.
Oh.
And this whole thing, and then they're going to compare the profile to the list of suspects that they've compiled in 1981 and compare them and see what's up. And who ends up as a part of this but John Douglas, who we've talked about many times.
Really?
He wrote the book Mindhunter that the series Mindhunter is based on, and that the character of Holden is based on, and all that. This particular stuff we're going to talk about right now is from John Douglas's book, Journey into Darkness, written by John Douglas and Mark O'Shaker. So he talks about how, it's a good book, by the way. It's interesting. A lot of interesting shit in terms of different kind of below the radar, under the radar crimes.
Yeah.
Like this one, you know what I mean? That you don't hear a lot about. So they said that they at the end, the physical evidence, they weren't positive that Priscilla was sexually assaulted in the end. They thought she was, but then they were like, maybe she wasn't. It might have just been that might have been the goal here for this person. So they said she definitely was rendered unconscious through blunt force trauma. Also, whoever did this cut off her bra and underwear.
Weird.
Yeah. So according to John Douglas in the FBI profile, this is fulfilling some of his need and to display hatred and aggression and dominance and control. This was probably done while she was, conscious.
Yeah,
and conscious. He struck her in the head at some point, struck Danielle in the head at some point, fracturing her skull. And, he also notes that he took some money from the hotel's cash box. Okay. So they said, John Douglas says that clearly he spent a lot of time at the scene, which is exactly what I was saying. Yeah. He's been there. He got comfortable, man. I mean,
did. He stretched out.
And appeared to be comfortable there. They said, leading me to profile an offender who knew his victims and the area. Oh. So this isn't a guy who just, not a drifter who blew through town that day. This is somebody who is generally comfortable, which makes sense there. It is. So it did not appear that he went there that night specifically to kill them, though. Okay. That wasn't it. More likely, the homicides occurred spontaneously. The crime scene reflected elements of both disorganization and inventiveness, and they said he says the offender was adaptable, using electrical cords from lamps and a vacuum cleaner to tie up his victims. Wow. So he didn't bring ligatures with him, nothing to tie, didn't bring weapons with him. Everything that was used was stuff that he found there. Right. It seems opportunistic. There's nobody here. It's all quiet. Everyone's in. It's past 5. I can do whatever I want. So
it's like he wasn't hunting, but when he saw his prey, he was like, oh, shit, I got to improvise.
Yeah, he's out there. He's always – these serial killers, and by the way, this guy we're pretty sure is a serial killer. Oh, they just have a net out. Their boat is always going. They have a net out all the time, and if something happens to fall in that net, great. Yeah. They'll pull it up on the fucking boat and stick it with a goddamn giant harpoon and take it home and eat it. That's how they are. So he goes on to say, a mixed scene of this nature led me to believe that alcohol was a factor that night, and that the unsub, which is the unknown subject if you don't know, probably had a history of alcoholism. With the level of aggression demonstrated against the older victim, I figured he was one of those Jekyll and Hyde drinkers, normally a loner, not at all a ladies' man. A louder, more aggressive side of his personality would come out after a few drinks, although he'd only be able to express this to people he felt he could dominate. He would have difficulties in any relationships with women. Okay. So this is you're starting to get more of a picture of who this guy is.
It's shocking they can get that much information out of this. It's so amazing.
It's shocking how stunningly accurate it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago, we had one with a profile where it was like a fucking picture of the guy they drew, basically. It was incredible. So he then says, Douglas goes on to say, since people don't just jump into double homicide, which we say all the time when we see these horrible things, we're like, that wasn't the first time he's done this.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. This subject would have been in trouble with the law before. He might have done time for crimes like assault, robbery, or burglary. Offenders like this kind of crime scene are typically out of average intelligence, but this guy probably had not finished high school. When he had a job, it would probably involve physical rather than intellectual work, such as a laborer, mechanic, or truck driver. He would not keep himself neat. He'd appear in need of a bath, a shave, and a haircut.
Holy shit.
Of all you're seeing this guy now, right? Everybody's seeing him.
It's amazing that he can know that.
You can picture this man. It's crazy,
Raped and murdered grandma and her grandpa. I'll bet he's filthy.
I bet he's filthy. I mean, everything about him. It's a physical labor. Of all the behavioral clues left at the apartment, the most significant came from the crime scene in the bedroom with the young girl. When he attacked Danielle, her grandmother was out of the picture, and he could act out his fantasies, easily dominating and controlling her. In his assault, he was consuming her, reinforcing his power over the situation. This is, we've heard a lot with serial killers and shit, and this is all exactly this. It's very sick.
That's what it is.
So,
yeah.
The fact that he covered her up with the bedclothes, however, said a lot about his feelings after the fact. He was trying to eliminate the assault, feeling disgust and distaste over his actions. With this apparent change of heart, he felt some remorse over her death, in contrast to the apparent justification he felt for his actions against her grandmother. She was getting in my goddamn way, being a pain in my ass, so she deserved it. But the girl, I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
So whenever you have any signs of remorse like that at the scene, there's going to be a spillover into the unsub's post-offense behavior. This is interesting, too. You can now see what people that you were talking to, what do they do right after the crime? He would be compelled to talk to someone to find out what the police were doing regarding the investigation. He'd increase his alcohol consumption, alter his physical appearance in some way, maybe visit the girl's grave.
Oh my.
The only area of the unsub's life that I had trouble with was his age. As I've mentioned, this aspect is often problematic. We talk about this all the time because sometimes when people have been in prison or stuff like that, their age, if they've been in prison for 10 years, they can come out and do shit and people think you're 25 and you're actually 35 because you've been stunted and whatever. So he said, I've seen subjects like this range in age from the late teens to early 50s, so I advise police to focus on the post-offense behavior and the other elements of the profile instead of looking for an offender of a particular age. I also warned that after the publicity died down, the subject had probably skipped town. As I always do, I told the investigators to give me a call if they wanted to discuss anything, blah, blah, blah. Later, when DNA testing was available, police went to re-examine the evidence and found it had been destroyed when a freezer in the lab malfunctioned. No witnesses were. They fucking... This police to put the one fingerprint belonged to the investigator, and the only thing they did half right, save the fucking DNA, it got destroyed in the freezer, and they just didn't talk about it or notice it for 10 years.
The freezer was unplugged. Whoops.
Wow. That's wild, man. I guess, he says, though, that the police kept up at it, and they kept trying, I guess, after 91, and they had a psychic, and they would send personal effects of the victims and photos and possible suspects and known sex offenders. They'd send all this shit to the psychic and go, any of this stuff makes sense to you? There was suspicions about a guy from Missoula, Montana. The police in Missoula contacted them. There was a guy exposing himself to neighborhood kids there. And he told his friends had told the sheriff that he'd been talking about the murders in Dickinson, but it was a different guy. The police interviewed him extensively, and they said that he wouldn't take a polygraph, but they got him to do a dental comparison with bite marks that were on Danielle's cheek.
Okay.
And the results ended up being it probably wasn't him.
Yeah.
Inconclusive, but leaning toward not him. So the another guy here, Jerry Theismann, Joe's brother, I guess, from the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation. He also went to the FBI National Academy as well.
Wow.
He contacted the FBI in 1985 for an evaluation of a man as a viable suspect, and they explained that basically it would be unlikely for someone to de-escalate because it was a viable suspect for some other crime, and they said, nah, it's not good enough for this guy. This guy's going to it's going to be a lot more. He's going to escalate, not de-escalate. So they just basically took that right off the table. Plus, the guy had a good job, and they were like, he wouldn't have taken $100. That would have been beneath him, this particular guy. So anyway, they were looking all around. They couldn't find anybody. They had one guy who ate dinner there the night that she made dinner.
Of the 12, yeah.
At the time, he was a local taxi driver. At the time of the murder, he was a taxi driver in Dickinson, which makes sense because a lot of transients would have to go from the field to the motel and shit like that. And the guy's name is William Rieger. which a taxi driver named Rieger makes me think of the show Taxi, because Judd Hirsch's name is Alex Rieger on that show.
Is it really?
So,
hilarious.
Absolutely. So
That's amazing.
Immediately I'm like, named Riga. I just picture Danny DeVito screaming at him, Riga. So they said, that's one guy that we really haven't ruled out. And, we'd like to talk to him. Problem is he left Dickinson like a year after the murder. Yeah. And we don't know where the fuck he went. We have no goddamn idea. So they said, let's look for him. So they end up finding him. State troopers in Arkansas stop him and run his information through the database and find out he's being looked for. It's in Batesville, Arkansas. His name's William Thomas Rieger, and he'd lived in the motel around that time of the double homicide, and he knew all the victims. Not only did he know them, but he had a real big crush on Melody, Priscilla's daughter, and he used to babysit Danielle from time to time.
That's pretty close.
You just leave the baby with the local taxi driver.
Jesus.
He has been a laborer, truck driver, dishwasher, taxi driver, and of course a carny as well.
Is that right?
Over the years. Yeah, a lot of transient jobs and physical labor is what he's doing. He's been employed all over the place, everywhere. He's lived in Arkansas and several other places in the United States over the last. He's moved around all over the place in 10 years. Looking him up, I found in 1964, he was fined $25 and a 15-day jail sentence after a charge of failing to dim his headlights.
Oh, you can get that, huh?
Wow, that is harsh for that. 1964, I found he received a fine of $25 and a 5-day suspended sentence for failure to have a motor vehicle under control.
Okay.
1965, he pleads guilty to a no-account charge. He fucking wrote a check for $5 at the sweet shop. So wrote a bad check. Yeah. Didn't have $5, I guess, here. They fined him $50 and gave him a 30-day suspended sentence for that. 1967, pleads guilty to issuing a check with non-sufficient funds as well. And he's sentenced to serve 5 days in jail and pay a $10 fine. Then 1970, he's in jail, this guy. So this is what I mean, petty shit building up. He's in jail for bad checks, and he and a couple other prisoners escape from the work farm they're on.
It's bad checks, dude. You're almost out anyway.
That's what I mean. And then in 1980, in Dickinson, he was arrested again for bad checks. So he has had some problems. Since the murders, he was married in 1989 to a woman. By the way, the thing they held him for in Arkansas when they pulled him over, he had a weapon, I guess. But on top of that, he was married to 2 different women. So they held him on bigamy charges, as a matter of fact. The one woman he married in 1989, she was 16 years younger than him. She said, quote, he was more of a gentleman than any man I ever knew.
Oh, boy. What
do you think her life was like? He's a rapist carny at this point, possibly. So a taxi driving carny rapist. And she said they're few and far between. She said he never acted like he wanted anything in return. I guess, but he has another wife and 4 children in North Dakota as well, this guy.
Yes.
And she didn't know about that, I guess, until all this happened.
4 kids, too.
Yeah, she said it was easier for him to lie than tell the truth. He kept lying to me about everything, and he told me he could never go back to North Dakota. He refused to say why. He was so adamant about not returning to North Dakota, but she said, quote, the only reason you can't go back is if you're running from the law. It does not take a genius to figure that out.
He's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman, especially if he's a scumbag like that. So they look into him further and they find out he had a real heavy interest in Melody at the time, the daughter. Yeah. So much so he would go to Priscilla and say, hey, I really want to take your daughter out. And Priscilla had told him, not going to happen, basically.
Please stay away from her, you creep.
Leave her alone. And Melody said, quote, to me, he was a very spooky, strange person. It was the way he looked at me. Yeah.
That is not
with bloodlust.
How you want the girl you're
spooky strange.
You got a crush on a girl. That's the worst thing you want her to think.
Well, he's kind of spooky strange. It's just the way he looks at me. Jesus. All right, never mind. I don't like it when he looks in my direction. Well, yeah, you probably don't like that, man.
I don't think it's gonna work out, Billy.
Yeah, but she said that after the fact because she let this man babysit her child at certain points. She said that the family noticed that when William Rieger visited, he would invite Danielle to sit on his lap, always putting his hand somewhere on her leg, which made Melody uncomfortable. And I guess a few nights before the murder, Danielle had asked her mother not to let Rieger babysit her again. Oh. And the night after the murder, by the way, Rieger was arrested for drunk driving and interviewed by the police. Mm-hmm. Shitface the night after the murder, got arrested for that. And that was that. So they said that, I guess, the Friday night before the 2 days before the killings, Melody said that she got a call that Danielle was crying uncontrollably at the hotel. So she said William Rieger gave her a ride back to the motel where her kid and, where Danielle and her girlfriend's 2 kids were. Priscilla was watching all of them. She said, Danny said something about Bill is trying to play with them. I asked her what she meant and where she tried to mess with them. Yeah. And she showed her that they're all over. And Melody said, well, I just freaked. I screamed at him to leave, and I stayed at home for the rest of the night, and I didn't know what to do. Stab him in the throat. I know what to do.
Call anybody.
Holy
help.
Jesus.
Whether it's cops, if they won't do anything, holler at a friend. Phone a friend.
And then that night, the night of the murders, he was in the party that Priscilla was cooking dinner for, and they all ate dinner together. Wow. Now, I don't know, not Melody, but like he was like she was allowed to be around him.
Maybe he was staying at the hotel that night?
Yeah, but he didn't have to be. I'd be like, hey, listen, my granddaughter said you tried to molest her. Get the fuck out of this goddamn. I'll poison your food. You don't want me cooking for you. I will poison you. Straight up. You're a carny trucker. Your health is terrible, probably. If you died, everyone go, oh, hypertension, high blood pressure.
No. This chili dog is for you. This one's yours. Yeah, don't eat this one, you guys. This one's for him.
It's for Bill. So they said he was a suspect from the start, but, they never had any evidence, and then he just took off, so they forgot about him, basically. They also found out in Batesville that something very similar happened. In June of 1988, they found the body of a 77-year-old woman named Della T. Harding. She was thrown off a fucking bridge into a dry riverbed 50 feet.
Wow.
She'd been bound, beaten, strangled, and raped in a home break-in. He took her he lived about a mile from her, Rieger. He took her, kidnapped her from her house, did all this shit to her in her house, took her out, drove her to a dry creek bed, and threw her the fuck off a bridge.
Wow. Bound up and everything?
Bound up and everything. She died as a result of strangulation, even though she was also received a blow to the head and was tied up with electrical cords. So it's exactly the same thing, basically. So they were like, that seems promising here. So they want to bring him back to North Dakota to talk about that. So they do. And they get to interview him there, and they said, quote, the second day we were in Arkansas, they picked him up and brought him to the sheriff's office and told him he was under arrest for an unrelated crime, having 2 wives. And here we are in this little dinky sheriff's office in this little town, and that's where we interviewed him, as opposed to a metropolis like Dickinson. Yeah. Prior to interviewing him, I reached out to the FBI and asked them how I could get him to confess. Well, we could come do it, probably. Yeah. I don't know if you can do it.
You're probably incapable.
We'll see, though. But he said, and they said to take my time. If it could take up to 4 days for someone with his profile to confess. They wanted me to work the angle of the little girl because they said he felt guilty at that. So, you're going to push on that. So he said during the interview, he said that while he's interviewing him, he noticed many of the traits that the FBI profile were glaringly obvious in Rieger, was his quote. He said, I walk in and sit directly in front of him. The BCI agent sits off to the side. I start in. I said, do you remember me? And he said, yeah. I don't remember your name, but I know you're from Dickinson and you're a cop. I then said, you know what we're here for? And he said, no. And I said, we're here to finally take care of the business when it comes to the Swanson Motel. So they said that they, quote, armed with our prediction that he would feel remorseful about the rape murder of Danielle, and with the results from the original polygraph, which indicated that he might be lying, they said that they kept him and just kept questioning him. Yeah. And they'd do it the next day. They just slept in a motel and just hacked at him every day. So eventually he just says, yep, I did it, and starts providing details that only he would know, things that were unreleased to the public, such as the biting on the cheek and stuff like that. Yeah. Those were details they kept from the public at first, and that he knew about, and what he used to bash her on the head with and shit like that. So, yeah, and he took more. He also took other things, too, that they didn't say. They said it wasn't ransacked, but there was certain things missing, and they didn't say they were missing in case for this purpose. And he said,
he knew what they were.
Yep, took about $100, and I took this, this, and this. And they went, yep, that's our guy. So he said he'd gone there to talk to her about Melody, and he wanted to get to know Melody better, and Priscilla said no. So instead of being encouraged, instead of just leaving, he said that he grew enraged and, quote, went berserk and hit her with a piece of wood from the table. He said that Danielle came in the room while he was tying the grandmother up, and he said, as I visualized it, this is the cop, as I visualized it, he had to maintain his control of the situation, and he did this with his attack on the girl. He admitted that in addition to the money, he took a picture of Danielle and Melody and a decorative platter from the crime scene.
Items. Serving tray?
And a serving tray. He goes, I want these, and this is pretty nice, actually. I'm going to give this as a wedding present. My sister's getting married. It was his memento here. So they said he was a white male, 39 years of age at the time, which fit into the profile. History of larceny, passing bad checks, burglary, petty larceny, average intelligence, worked as a laborer, truck driver, carny, dishwasher. Photo shows he always looked sloppy, changed his appearance after the murder, stopped dyeing his hair, and let it go completely gray. Had a history of drinking and a drunk driving arrest right afterwards, which was what John Douglas said. He'd start drinking a lot more. Difficulties with women include separation from his second wife, to whom he was still fucking married to his first wife when he married.
Right.
All sorts of shit. He's reportedly getting ready to marry a third when he got arrested.
Jesus Christ, man.
He was stacking them. His second wife said that he had a non-feeling personality and they'd have marital difficulties and that he drank constantly. So finally, though, his version of what he said it was anger and hostility toward the grandmother, and then he just took an opportunity to attack a child sexually because he's a fucking monster. So he gives all these details, and the cop who's interviewing him, this Rummel guy, he says, this man remembers every detail, things no one else would have known, and this is 10 years later. When it came to the part of the sexual assault on the little girl, he would just say, I did things I wish I had never done to her. And the BCI agent would step in and say, I need to hear exactly what you did. And he finally came out and said, quote, I raped a little girl. So, Jesus Christ, please nobody isolate that. That is not good. So his wife said that she never would have thought that he was capable of something like this. So in addition to this, he admits to the murder of the older woman, Della Harding, in Arkansas. Now they start looking into all sorts of other cases that are all over the place. Dallas, Texas, women missing around that area, women missing in other states. Everywhere he's been, basically, there's a trail of missing, of not missing, but dead women, sometimes missing. Like, he realized, you got to take them out of where they are, because people will find them quicker if you leave them where they are. So that's he progressed. So now they're finding them in dry riverbeds and in the woods and in fields and shit like that. So it's pretty bad. So anyway, the family, Frank Dinkle, is thrilled when they finally solved this, obviously. It's his wife and granddaughter. He said, I wish I could be put in the same prison as Rieger.
Oh, Frank, go get him.
I bet he fucking does, man. He would love to, I'm sure, rip his goddamn throat out with his bare hands. He said, I was hoping it would be solved before I died. God. Jesus. Melody is also, wow. Yeah, she said fucking all of the above. She wants him to go to Arkansas to get the death penalty down there. He's going to be tried in both places. She says, I want to see Bill Rieger die for what he did to Danny and my mom. He took what was most precious to me, my baby and my mom. I want him to lose what's most precious to him, his life. So, So she also said, but first I want him to come back to Dickinson to be tried. After that, I hope he gets the death penalty in Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, she said also, I told them it was Bill Rieger, but nobody would listen. I'm still bitter about the whole thing.
Jesus.
I don't fucking blame you. You have, this poor fucking woman. She said, sometimes I look at 17-year-old girls and I think that could have been Danny now. She was such a mature young lady, she didn't even get a chance to grow up. Poor fucking woman. Yeah. The trial is set for the first trial in Dickinson, because that's the first murder, set for June 16th, 1992, the trial. So he's going to stand trial there, get life without, and then go to Arkansas and get the death penalty. Yeah. So June 10th, 1992, so 6 days before the trial, he's getting all prepared. He knows it's a death penalty case. He drops dead of a heart attack.
It's a lot of pressure, James.
Drops dead. Found at 5:39 a.m. lying on his side in his cell. Must have been dead for a little more than 2 hours. He had hypertension and high blood pressure. And, they said they don't think he stockpiled medications or committed suicide. The jailer said that Rieger often used the outdoor recreation and exercise equipment. He was trying to lose weight, not commit suicide. Okay. So, he was just in shit shape and he dropped dead. Just from karma, from being a terrible human being. Yeah,
running around the country eating shit food after shit meal after shit food after shit meal. It's not easy.
If only his cellmate would have raped him to death. That's the only thing that would have made it better, right? Like a giant man was like, I just raped him till he died. I don't know, man. Just until I couldn't take it anymore, and I broke him down, and half of him's over there, and the other half's over there. That would have been the only thing better, because this fucking guy, I want to go kick his fucking tombstone over. That's how bad I hate this man. I don't like him.
The guy that does it to really enjoy it, though. I want it to be like the guy from Seven with the sword dick. I want that guy to rape him. He told me to fuck him, so I fucked him.
No, I want to replace Marcellus Wallace and give him to Zed. He can be the new Gimp from Pulp Fiction, I feel like. That's what I want for him, for his life. Because for years, that way it can linger for years and years. So anyway, they didn't get the satisfaction of watching him die, but they also didn't have to go through trials and hear horrible details and see crime scene photos of their daughters and mother and all that sort of shit.
And then appeals after appeal after appeal in Arkansas of him trying not to die.
In the end, that was it. It's over at that point. They know who did it. It's done. It's over with. It's, to me, if it was me, it would be that's best possible scenario if I'm the family. Yeah. I've been a family member of murder victim. That's you want it to be over with, and that's what it's over with.
Another silver lining is that he didn't get to have a heart attack free. He had to have that heart attack on a cold prison floor, which is pretty fucking rad.
Eat dicks, sir. Yeah. So there you go, William Rieger. He's a piece of shit. We feel terrible, obviously, for Priscilla Dinkle and little Danielle. It's obviously awful and terrible story, but pretty fucked up anyway. An interesting FBI profile. Anyway, if you like that story, you sick bastards, I don't know. No, it's a crazy story, honestly. But if you like that, please tell the world. Give us a review. 5 stars helps a lot. Also, our website, shutupandgivememurder.com, is where you get everything. Merchandise, tickets to live shows, August 12th, 2 shows in San Francisco at Cobb's Comedy Theater. Different shows. Get your tickets to both. Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder in Sacramento the next night. Then September 10th at the Paps in Milwaukee. Biggest show ever. Let's sell that bad boy out. Get in there. Patreon.com/Crime and Sports. You get all your bonus material this week. Crime and Sports, Michael Jordan scandals, gambling affairs, paternity suits, giant divorce settlements, and then for Small Town Murder, Small Town Reviews, which we love so much.
Can't wait.
It's going to be a good time. Everything like that. Follow us on social media at Murder Small on Twitter, at Small Town Pod on Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. It's been our pleasure. Pulling on into the station. Thank you so much.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
and murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.